The views and opinions expressed by guests on this podcast are solely their own and do not represent the position of the host, this show, or any organization either party is affiliated with. All content is shared purely for educational and inspirational purposes. Nothing discussed here constitutes professional advice. Listeners are encouraged to independently verify any information before acting on it. The host is not responsible for any outcomes resulting from guest statements. By listening, you agree that you are solely responsible for how you use the information shared. Welcome to the Tech Sharmit podcast, where technology is not just news, but the roadmap to the future. This is a space where we explore the latest tech trends, AI, startups, gadgets, and the ideas that redefine the way we think. Leading this conversation is Amit Sharma, globally recognized as Tech Sharmit. A technologist from Bharat, Amit brings an Indian perspective to the global technology landscape. With deep technical expertise and strong industry insight, and for his contributions and impact within the global tech community, he has been recognized with several prestigious honors, including Google Developer Expert, Microsoft MVP, IBM Champion, and Planet Mainframe Influencer. Through this podcast, he shares practical knowledge, real-world perspectives, and globally relevant thinking designed to help you stay ahead in an ever-evolving technology landscape. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to the Tech Sharmit channel to stay updated with future episodes. And if you're looking to level up your skills, don't forget to explore the Tech Sharmit digital course book in the description box, where you'll find thousands of free programming courses curated to help you grow as a developer. So plug in your headphones and join us as we begin today's episode of the Tech Sharmit podcast.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Tech Sharmit podcast. Today I am joined by another very special guest, Todd Stewart, who is joining us from the United States. If I talk about Todd, he is an IBM subject matter expert, IBM Champion, member of Common Board of Directors, member of Common America's Advisory Council, chaplain, author, retired firefighter, and a passionate advocate for both technology and people. So today in this episode, we will talk about IBM, AI, modernization, leadership, and many more things. But before we get started, I would like to thank Todd for joining us today in this episode. And now I request you to please initiate the discussion by telling us a bit about yourself.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I have been an IBM mid-range programmer for almost 40 years. And I started out life as a firefighter. My father and my grandfather were both law enforcement officers, and I grew up in that atmosphere. And I was injured fighting a house fire. I actually broke my back. I didn't know it at the time, but I was forced to retire, and my older brother, Jeff, was a programmer analyst at a marine industry insurance company in Seattle, working on an IBM System 38. And so he said that this would be a good new career for me. So I went to school and I got my associate's degree and started working actually at the same company that he did. And so I have been an IBM mid-range professional ever since. And now I am a application architect for Heartland Co-op here in the state of Iowa. We're the 9th largest grain trading organization in the United States. Last year, we bought and sold almost 12 billion pounds of corn, soybeans, wheat, and other agricultural commodities. So I have been active in the common community advocating for the IBM Power platform and the IBM operating system. And it was a pleasure to be elected to the Common Board of Directors at this past Power Up conference. I'm thrilled to expand on my advocacy for the platform and advocate for the IBM and the platform moving forward. So thank you again for having me.
Thanks. So yeah, Todd, like we can clearly see that that transition was completely unexpected because you were serving as a firefighter and then suddenly you encounter with one injury and then you turn into a programmer. So from your perspective, like was that a smooth transition for you, or like obviously like injury was there, so you can't we can understand like how much it was a suffering phase for you, but overall that transition from a firefighter role to a programmer, do you find any kind of you can say any like what was there any obstacles in adopting the technical things after becoming a programmer there?
The technical side of it, no.
Okay.
The emotional side and from a mental health perspective, I struggled for many, many years.
Yes.
My entire identity as a person was wrapped up in being a firefighter. And the tradition that my family held of
Yes.
being someone who served the community. And so when that identity was lost to me, I was just completely devastated. From a technical aspect, no, I, I came to be an effective IBM mid-range professional pretty quickly, but my mental health suffered for many, many, many years. And I struggled mightily with that actually right up until about 6 years ago, when I finally was able to get help for my post-traumatic stress. And then that was when I became a chaplain.
Okay.
And I made the decision that God had put me through the struggles that I
Yes.
did in order for me to be able to turn and serve my brother and sister firefighters and law enforcement officers that struggle now as I did for so many years.
Mm.
So I live quite the duality of life. My professional life as an architect and advocate for the platform, and then I travel quite a bit to conferences and retreats to minister to first responders. So I keep myself busy in both regards.
Okay. So yeah, we can also clearly see one common thing in both of your role, that you selflessly, Leslie, you have put efforts for the community. You have served for the community, whether as a firefighter or as a community person, because nowadays those who are on LinkedIn, they know how much you have contributed as a programmer or as a tech expert, especially for the IBMI community. So we can clearly say that yes, in both fields you have been an expert and you have served as an expert from the forefront. So it's good to know your journey.
Yes, I'm very passionate about both things. I have
Yes.
a deep faith, and that drives me to minister to my first responder community. And I have a great love and passion for the IBM Power and IBM I and the community. When I was not able to be a firefighter anymore, one of the things that was lost to me and that I missed so very much was the sense of family and community within the firefighter and law enforcement areas. We treated each other as family. And I have never experienced that sort of environment outside of the IBMI community. The
Mhm.
IBMI community, everyone is so willing to help one another.
Agree.
I've seen people who work for competing companies help each other out when they have a problem, a technical
Right.
issue. And when you go to events like Power Up, it's just such a wonderful environment to be in because everyone really wants to help each other, and everyone wants to move the platform forward. So I really kind of regained that sense of family and community when I came into being a professional with the IBMI.
Completely agree. Like I also noticed the same thing, that doesn't matter if they are working in a different organization. If something is there where someone needs help, so they can simply reach out to the community, and all member are willing to help each other. Doesn't matter if it is working, if they are working in a different organization as well. So that's the beauty of community, and that's why, like, I think we can say that one of the most active communities, IBMI community, because everyone is so passionate about their work, and whether it's a IBM Champion program or more activities like common group of board, so they all are contributing at their best level so that others can build the solution that they wanted to do. Okay, so now Todd, we will talk bit about the artificial intelligence, because nowadays we all know that everyone is talking about AI. Some of the great communities are also working for it. So, like, you are also involved with Watson X Code Assistant and Project Bob. So what it is seeing AI tool, what it is like to seeing AI tools enter the code base that might have some old legacy, or I would say the legendary code of COBOL and RPG programming. So how you are looking at these kind of transition of AI into the world?
Well, I was fortunate in that through my work with the Common America's Advisory Council, I got involved very early on. First, when the Watson X Code Assistant was being developed, and then Project Bob came along and just
Yeah.
took all of that over. And so I have been using IBM Bob, which for the few people who haven't heard about it, IBM Bob is a fork of VS Code with the IBM Bob Code Assistant integrated into it. And I've been utilizing it since last November.
Okay.
And it's had a great impact. And so our shop now has fully adopted it. We have 5 very new developers, fresh out of college, and we also have several very highly experienced developers that have been in the space for many years. Our code base is a mix. We have lots of new procedurally driven freeform RPG applications, but we also have a large amount of older
Fixed format.
35-year-old fixed format RPG. So previously we had taken a very paced approach to modernization, not going wholesale, and we'll talk about that shortly. But the advent of IBM Bob has allowed us to accelerate our modernization efforts because of the ability of IBM Bob to transform that code and be highly accurate in doing that. And so the advent of having this tool not only has given us a great benefit in our modernization, but the time savings that are there are so significant that it's allowed us to give our business partners in the company much more new and enhanced functionality. And I'll give just a really quick example. I had a issue that one of our grain originators reported to me, and it had to do with maintaining grain contracts that we come into agreement with growers. Now, this issue would have taken me probably somewhere between 3 and 5 hours to debug, given all the different scenarios that were involved in the problem. IBM Bob solved that problem in 45 seconds.
45 seconds.
Was able to find the issue and suggest the change in less than a minute. Now, if you have a tool that reduces your defect remediation time by over 90%, then you are able to take that time savings and bring high value products to your customers
Correct.
at a much better rate, because you're not spending all that time fixing broken things. You're spending that time giving your customers new and enhanced functionality. So that's one of the biggest impacts that this tool has brought.
Yeah, that is true. Like if we have that kind of tool using which we can save over time, so we can spend that time in understanding business logic, in understanding the requirement, and if we have sufficient time, we can also come up with some alternative solution, because now we are not wasting the time on normal debugging purpose or code writing process, because we have a proper tool for that. We can just optimize at our best level. So that's the one thing. And same thing I have also noticed. Fortunately, I created around 30 videos on IBM Bob recently, and I also found that specifically for the documentation purpose, this tool is doing great work, because I tried some sort of prompts to create some kind of reports for RPGLE, for CL, SQL RPGLE programming, and it is performing well on both type of source code, whether it's a fixed format code or a fully free format, or as you mentioned about the modernized code. So it is working perfectly for both of them. So I think this
We
is,
have
yeah.
we found it highly effective in that. As a matter of fact, we used IBM Bob to write training content for our business partners. So
Yeah.
we have lunch and learn sessions where our users, our business partners, can come in and learn about all kinds of different aspects of their jobs, from grain contracts to all of the functions that our counter sales
Yeah.
people do, our refined fuels persons, and that content was written by IBM Bob. And so we found it highly effective in being able to do that. And it's been a great time savings. And we've got this large and growing library of content that new people, when they get hired, can go in and learn all of the aspects of what they do on a day-to-day basis.
Right. Okay. All right. So now, moving ahead, we'll talk bit about your another role, because as an IBM champion or also as a America Advisory Council member, what do you think? Like, what's the one thing you wish that more IT leaders understand about where this platform is heading towards? Because mostly people, not only the freshers, but sometimes professional also feel that it's a dying technology, and there are so many myths around it. But as an expert, if you have to share one piece of advice to all the IT leaders about this platform modernization phase, so what would you suggest?
Well, I think what I would suggest is, when you look at legendary applications or
Yeah.
legacy applications that are still running on a 5250 data stream, don't assume that that is the platform. The IBM Power is the most powerful and reliable hardware platform
Correct.
available, period. 5 nines availability. And one of the things that I like to emphasize is the IBM Power differentiated memory architecture. There isn't an x86 platform that can come even close to the capacity and speed of IBM Power memory.
Right.
And the IBM I operating system, you see these legacy applications running. Well, that's because historically, that backward compatibility has been there. But you can use IBM Power to do anything. We're planning, when we move to Power 11 in the next few months, we're going to be standing up a Linux LPAR next to our IBM I LPAR, so that we can do large language model inference. And so this platform can do anything. And I just would urge IT professionals to don't be fooled if you
Yeah.
look at older applications running on this platform into thinking that that's what the platform is all about, because it's not. It is the
Correct.
most powerful, most reliable hardware and operating system platform out there, period.
Correct. And I think everyone should thank you for breaking down those myths, because mostly people misunderstood this platform, the modernization phase of this platform. But how clearly you have explained about everything about the memory kind of thing, and all the related stuff that we just talked about the IBMI. So I think now it's quite clear to everyone that it is not a dying technology, but it is modernizing by the time. So it's the right time to adopt all those tools like IBM Bob or any other initiative, whether it's a advanced SQL. So you can move from native RPGL to the advanced SQL RPGL. So that will for sure help you, and you will also feel the power of this system.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, Todd, now I want to talk about two special terms. While doing some research about your profile, I found two very interesting word, that is a spiritual warrior and a sheepdog. So can you please unpack like what those terms mean to you and why they matter really in the work also?
So those two terms really speak to my personal faith.
Okay.
And so spiritual warrior really speaks to someone who uh, fights for their faith.
Mm-hmm.
And so my strong Christian faith points me to being a spiritual warrior. In the New Testament of the Bible, in the book of Ephesians, it talks about the battles against darkness, against spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that isn't a physical battle where you bring a weapon. Your weapon is your faith, the word of God, and the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Correct.
Now, sheepdog refers to the calling that Christ, our great shepherd, gives to certain ones of us to protect his flock.
Okay.
And so that speaks to the role that I take. For instance, at my church, I'm one of the people that protects the sanctuary when there
Mm-hmm.
are people at the church. So, from a professional standpoint, you have to kind of walk a fine line, right?
Yeah.
You can't go to the Common Power Up conference and stand up and preach the gospel. And it's a professional
Correct.
environment. But I speak to my faith very plainly and openly. And my prayer is that people will see that and perhaps ask me about it. Now, I'm not going to go out, in a professional environment
Mm-hmm.
and push that. But if someone comes to me and asks me about it, well, then that's a prayer answered for me, so that I can talk about my faith and hopefully bring somebody. So that's what those two terms speak to, and that's how I kind of walk that fine balance with my faith and my profession.
That's great to hear, like how you have relate all the terms with the work also, like in a very simple words. So I'm sure those who are listening and those who believe in these kind of faiths, they can also take a benefit from it, because this is a great learning. Everyone should follow it. Everyone should at least understand it, like how these things work. So it's a really very insightful thing you just shared. And now, Todd, we will talk bit about the organization. Like we'll talk about the things from the organization phase, because you are a contributing author on the IBMI Red Book and application modernization. So, from your perspective, what do you think? Like, what's the most common mistake organization make when they start to modernizing initiative on the IBMI? So, let's say if there are some sort of for sure, like there are some signs that can instruct the organization that they are not heading towards the right direction. So how you look at those kind of initial few days for the organization?
So first and foremost, don't believe that modernization means moving away from the RPG programming language.
Okay.
There are some companies who have made attempts to convert their RPG to open source like Java and that sort of thing. The RPG programming language in its newest forms is an absolute top-notch programming language, procedurally driven. You can integrate open source functionality with it when that's appropriate. So that's number one.
Okay.
Number two is there are times that companies seem to be overwhelmed by the size of the effort. And they have a belief that this is something that needs to happen all at once. And so they don't get started at all because they're unsure how to get this large, millions of lines of code in some instances. How do we modernize this? It's going to take so many hundreds and hundreds of hours of effort to get it done. Where do we start? Well, my advice is just start. What we did at Heartland Co-op was we're a small shop. We have 11 developers.
Okay.
And so we had to balance, maintaining the system, keeping the lights on, getting our day-to-day efforts done with trying to get our applications modernized. And so what we had done, and this is before IBM Bob came along, we measured the effort of work that was needed to be done on an older application. And if it wasn't just a 1 or 2 line change, if there was a significant change that was going to need to be made, then we would say, let's go ahead and let's transform that to new modern RPG, change it into a procedurally driven, if need be, take some of those procedures and externalize them and put them into service programs. And if we're making very large changes, let's take our DDS physical files and logical files, let's make them DDL tables, indexes, views. So you can take a measured approach. You will never get done if you don't ever start. Now, that whole strategy has changed massively with IBM Bob. Our threshold now is much lower than it was before in terms of what size of change is going to trigger us to modernize that application, because that process now is so much faster than it was before. The only thing that is the same requirement is the level of testing, because you are transforming the entire application, and so your testing effort is going to be similar than what it was before. But one of the other great things is IBM Bob can help you with that too. I took a old, very large monolithic application that is highly critical to the company, that displays prices from the Chicago Board of Trade for all of the commodities that we use. And I had Bob break that up into services. Well, without even asking, Bob generated RPG unit test programs for each one of those services and an overall RPG unit test program for integration testing of those services. So IBM Bob has had a huge impact. So if you're struggling to get a modernization effort underway, number one, go get IBM Bob, because it's going to cut your modernization effort by a significant margin. Number two, just get started. Don't think that you have to do this in one big monstrous effort, because if you're stuck in that, you will never get started. So just start modernizing applications as you're changing them, and you will find that you will make great progress. Before you know it, you'll start seeing the percentages of your applications that are being modernized grow and grow and grow.
That's really true. And you know what? This entire thing also remind me of one quote that is perfection kills the progress. So if you are waiting for the right time, so it will not get. So you have to just start with your work, and by the time gradually you will feel that yes, now everything is perfect and in a right direction. So you also
Yep.
share the
I like to say it's about direction, not perfection.
right. Okay. All right. So we talked about the modernization. One more thing, Todd, I found that there are still some shops, IBMI shops, that are doing manual compiles and code promotion on the Friday afternoon. So for them, like if you have to suggest few best DevOps practice, at least some practice they should adopt immediately. So what would you suggest them?
Well, number one, don't install things on Friday unless your IT department is staffed
Available on
over the weekend.
correct.
Don't install stuff on Friday.
Right.
Number two, I think that for me, there are a couple of things. If you're still practicing some of these older methodologies, you need to start moving toward that DevOps model. Number one, I think adopt test driven development.
Okay.
The old way of taking a change that has a dozen or more requirements and coding to all of those requirements before you ever test anything is just a recipe for disaster, because now your testing effort is massive. And when you start finding defects, well, where are they? We
Mhm.
just changed, 2,000 lines of code in this application. Where's the defect? And
Right.
that's one of the things in the DevOps methodology, is making small changes. And that's why you want to move to more services and break up those monolithic applications, because your changes to those are smaller, your testing efforts are easier, and when you do introduce a defect, it's much easier to find that. So test-driven development. Take a requirement, create a test case for it, test it before you change it. It will fail because you haven't changed it
Yeah.
yet. Make your changes until that one test case passes, refactor afterward, and then move on to the next requirement and test as you code. Your testing effort will be smaller, your tests will be more accurate, and you will start to generate a library of test cases that will then in turn allow you to start moving toward test automation. And so you can, again, it's like modernizing your applications. When we decided to move to a different change management system, we decided to move to one that supported DevOps methodologies, even though we were nowhere near being truly a DevOps shop. And we're still on that journey. But we wanted the tools available to us and to have our developers start getting used to using those tools, using Git source management, using automation orchestration for CI CD, and being able to have those tools available so that as we do move toward more DevOps methodologies, those we don't have to start adopting and adapting to those tool chains as we went. They're already in place. We're using them every day. And as we adopt more DevOps, then those tools are there. So I would say, again, start making small changes,
Yeah.
adopt test-driven development, and don't install on Friday.
That is very important. So these are some great advice I think any organization can easily implement, because the you have explained everything in a very step by step manner, like what they should do and what they should not do it also. So it's a great insightful discussion for everyone. And although like we have taught so many things that we can discuss on IBMI platform, but we are short on time, so I just want to take a couple of more questions before we conclude the discussion. And this question is regarding the support of network, because what I feel like behind every successful person there is a core support system. So looking back on your journey, like who were the key people around you who had a defining impact on your journey so far?
Well, so I have to speak to one person in particular, and
Okay.
he was his name is Mohammed Musa, and I worked for him when I was a senior developer at Cabela's. And he was my first mentor when I became a leader, and he helped me when I first started managing teams.
Okay.
Before I became a solutions delivery manager, he put me in charge of our help desk development offshore team that was in Bangalore, and we also had a small on-site team. And
Okay.
so he helped me along. He gave me advice, leadership, and team management. And I think Mohammed Musa is definitely one of those people that I have to call out. And interestingly enough, one of the other people that has really uh, uh, helped me out is the person that I work for now, Kayla Bodley. Now, she is much younger than and she came to Heartland Co-op as a business analyst,
Okay.
and she just has helped me in terms of she's just an example of how people can grow into a role and become leaders. And For me, I eventually decided that I wanted to continue in a technical role. But she has shown me how to be a compassionate leader
Okay.
and to show true caring for the people that work for you. And so she has been just a terrific example. And then I really have to call out two other people.
Okay.
Randy Sunderman, who is the vice president of IT at Heartland Co-op, and Brian Bailey, who's the chief financial officer. When I came to Heartland Co-op, I was still struggling very, very much with my mental health, and it impacted my job performance a great deal. And so there were some big issues that came up in that regard, and
Okay.
they could have been justified in removing me and I would have been out of a job. And they both said, Todd, we know that you're struggling. We also believe that you can still bring value to this company. So we're going to put you in a technical role. I was in a management role. We're going to put you back in a technical role, but we don't want to lose you. And to me, that is something that I will so forever be grateful for. It was, again, it was a true example of compassionate leadership
Yes.
and true caring for one human being to another.
Correct.
And it has been one of the biggest blessings in my life. And the transformation that has occurred for me over the last 6 years, from almost losing my job to being a technical leader, to being a leader in the IBM community, to being a member of the Common Board of Directors. I just thank God every single day for the fact that I was where I was when my struggles came to their most difficult part. And so those people, I think, more than anything else, have had a positive impact on my life, both professionally and personally.
Okay. Okay, so Todd, now I just want to know a bit more about the country or place you belong from. So, as a proud citizen of United States, if you had to share one best thing about your country with the global audience, so what would you share with them?
Well, as you know, there are on the news and people hear about all the struggles between people of different, political beliefs or religious beliefs. But for me, I think the best thing is that when you talk one to one with people, and this is true for me, it's that people can get along and be respectful to one another, even if they are of a different belief system or they have different political views. There's a lot of negative things that get a lot of news, but in my life, day to day, I find that people really are kind to one another in this country.
Yes.
One of the things that, as a chaplain, one of the things that are mandated is that even though I am a Christian chaplain, I am mandated by the code of ethics to minister to anyone who is in need, regardless of their faith.
Yes.
So if I come across someone who is not of the Christian faith, or maybe has no faith whatsoever, that's not going to stop me from, if they are in crisis or they need spiritual or emotional support, then I'm going to do that for them. And I find that I think that's the thing that I want to emphasize to people about the United States. What you see on the news about the constant conflict and hate, that's not what I find in my day-to-day life interacting with people. I interact with people that don't share my faith, my religion, that don't share my political views. And I have no problems getting along with those people, even though we don't agree on many things. And so that's what I want to emphasize to people, is that please don't let what you see every day on the news give you the impression that that is what life in the United States is about. It's not really. When you talk to individual people, that's not what it's really about. The U.S. is full of a lot of very caring individuals.
Yeah, I am also agree with this, that whatever we learn or hear from the news, it's completely different from the ground reality, because it doesn't matter in which country you are, everyone is kind to each other. They know how to respect, how to care each other. So that's the only truth of humanity, and we all should follow the same thing. So that's a great learning you just shared. Okay, so Todd, now just before we conclude, I just want to take one piece of advice, especially for those junior developers who are about to start their career in IBM technologies in 2026. So, what would you tell them to learn first, and what would you suggest them to unlearn from their typical CS degree?
So I think my biggest piece of advice is to get connected to the community, even
Yes.
when you're still in school. If you're still in school, get connected to the community. And the best way to do that is to go to Common.
Hmm.
Become a Common member. Common has a terrific initiative called N2I,
Yes.
New to I. And they can start learning IBM skills right there. They have boot camps, they have all kinds of learning there. And more importantly, you can make connections with other more experienced professionals that can help you out.
Yes.
And I think that your learning series is tremendous. I just think that what you're doing with those trainings is absolutely wonderful. What a terrific way to promote the community and to bring new professionals into the IBMI space. I think that what you're doing there is just absolutely wonderful. I don't know if there's anything necessarily that new professionals have to unlearn.
Hmm.
I have found with our brand new developers that came right out of school, had absolutely no exposure to IBM Power and IBM I. the great thing was that they picked up the IBM iSkills very quickly, but
Yeah.
they also brought things to the company that we didn't have before. All that open source language knowledge that we're now utilizing and that we're going to utilize even more when we stand up that Linux partition on our Power 11, we're going to start leveraging all of that open source capability that they bring to us.
Yes.
So I'm hopefully going to be speaking at Navigate in October, and one of the things that I'm going to be doing if my session gets approved is I'm going to be interviewing two of our new developers, and the session is going to be called "Busting the Myth of the IBM iSkills Gap." Companies who think that there is an IBM iSkills Gap aren't looking in the right place. They need to do what Hartman Co-op did: is bring these kids in right out of school, grow your own developers, and they can do that through Common. They can do that through your learnings that you have available, and there's nothing to stop those new kids from becoming highly effective IBMI professionals.
All right. Okay, so yeah, thank you so much, Todd, for joining us today in this episode and for sharing your expertise with everyone. I'm sure those who are listening or those who are working in IBMI field, they have learned a lot of things from this podcast. So it was really a pleasure talking to you, and thank you once again for being a part of the show.
Well, thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure.